2025 was a brutal reality check for the shooter genre. We saw massive budgets burn and so-called killers fade into irrelevance or straight up die. Let me present to you the graveyard. Remember XDefiant? The free-to-play savior that was supposed to kill COD? On paper, it sounded great, but it turns out that no SBMM and PC-only lobbies don't save you when your netcode is trash and when your hitreg feels like a coin flip. It was worse than COD in every single way except for the matchmaking. Unsurprisingly, it failed. The servers were officially buried mid-2025. Then there was Spectre Divide, or as some people call it, Shroud's game. It died faster than you can blink. It had a cool gimmick, but it failed to understand human psychology. When you mess up in a 5v5 game, you have 4 other people to carry the weight. It's an emotional crutch. In Spectre Divide, however, you control 2 bodies and have only 2 teammates. There is nowhere to hide. If you lose, most of it is on you. Players can't handle the pressure, and with so few bodies on the map, holding sites or executing strats felt empty and lackluster. Lastly, we had the tragic final breath of Royale. Years ago, this game took the world by storm. It was fast, it had high skill gap, and the time to kill was perfect. But the devs weren't happy, they wanted more, so they immediately ruined it by trying to capture an even broader audience, by watering down the gameplay to help casual players. In 2025, they finally caved in and promised a return to roots update. It was a lie. The TTK was still long, unique spells and weapons were unlocked to characters. It was the same broken game with a fresh coat of paint. The community sold through it, and the servers were finally put out of their misery early last year. The Walking Dead. No, not this type of Walking Dead. The next 2 games aren't dead, but they might as well be. Strinova. Shout out to Keryu for introducing me to the game. It hit 40,000 players at launch and now sits at only 4,000. The paper-thin mechanic was genuinely innovative. It introduced movement tech never seen before and added immense depth to the skill ceiling. But the positives end there. The third-person perspective turned an already passive genre into an even more frustrating and campy experience. But the real killer was the lack of economy. In CS or Valorant, if the enemy has a sniper, I can buy a smoke, a flash, or my own sniper to contest them. In Strinova, guns are locked to agents, so if I picked someone with an SMG, I physically cannot contest mid for the entire game because I can't switch the character. It made the experience repetitive and limiting. Instead of strategy, everyone just insta-locked the characters with the best guns. Great potential, terrible design. Fragpunk suffered a similar fate. Initially it had over 100,000 players, but now it struggles to hit 2,000. It had amazing optimization, fluid shooting, interesting abilities, and an innovative card system. Sadly, it got killed by its own gimmick and the lack of economy. It's a tactical FPS where you pick cards to alter the balance of the game. Give enemies gigantic heads, increase the bomb timer but allow it to be planted anywhere on the map, increase your movement speed when you're actively using voice chat, shit like that. It sounds cool, right? The problem is, you spend half the match reading the cards and choosing them instead of playing the game. That's because the matches are too short. It's first to 4 rounds, or in ranked, first to 6, and as someone who misses the long grueling economy wars of CSGO, playing a 10-minute match where half of it is spent in the menu isn't that exciting. If it followed Valorant's game design, I think it would have had better retention, and their tie-breaking system of putting the teams in a 1v1 gauntlet until one of the teams runs out of players would be even better there because it's not gonna be happening every single game. It was a really cool game with lots of potential that I still power on from time to time to play TDM, but it sadly is on its last legs and it will inevitably die unless there is a massive change. With the dead games out of the way, let's talk about the war for the arcade genre. Delta Force came back after 2 decades. It is wildly popular in China, and it wants DICE's crown. It is literally Battlefield with modern gadgets. Initially, I hated it. The constant wallhack arrows and ability spam hurts the gameplay way more than it helps. But after playing the disaster that was Battlefield 6, I gave it another shot, and it's not that bad. Delta Force is flawed, the maps aren't the best, some of the gadgets are really unfun to play against, and I hate that sliding is restricted to certain classes, but at least the gunplay functions. It's not my favorite game, but for a free-to-play title, it deserves its spot. Because Battlefield 6, it is the biggest tragedy of the year. From the biggest hype train to losing 90% players in just 60 days. It stripped away all skill expression to please the casuals. It has terrible maps, shitty blown gunplay, brain-dead easy sniping with built-in rangefinder and little headshots that prevent revives. And last but not least, movement that punishes your every step. It tried to cater to everyone, and in the end it pleased no one. I did a full autopsy on exactly how they butchered the game in a previous video, so check that out if you want the deep dive. Which leads us to the winner of this category, Black Ops 7. I had zero expectations. I usually only play the beta with friends and then quit. But Black Ops 7 is the first time in ages I actually bought Game Pass to keep playing. The gunplay on PC is tight, the omni movement and the wall jumping is really fun to utilize, and it adds a massive skill gap. And the reduced skill based matchmaking playlist is the best thing Activision has done in a decade. It's refreshing to play a match without sweating like it's the CDL finals. Unfortunately, Black Ops 7 is only a win on merit. Commercially, this is rumored to be one of the worst selling Call of Duties. If you don't care about sales figures or chasing trends and you just want something good, the multiplayer nails it. And I've heard zombies are good too if you're into that type of thing. I broke down exactly why this game brought me back after a 10-year hiatus in my full review. If you want the arcade feel and don't mind spending full price on an arena shooter, then this is a great choice in 2026. The Extraction Revolution. The biggest surprise of 2025 was arcraiders. It took the niche extraction genre and it made it mainstream. It deserves every bit of hype. The atmosphere is exceptional, the audio design is some of the best in gaming.
Hello?
And the procedurally generated AI feels terrifyingly alive. But the real reason for its success is accessibility. Free loadouts with zero cooldown, a map you can actually read, teammate downlines, pings, and probably the biggest reason, the third-person perspective. Personally, I hate it. Camping corners is boring and it makes ambushing extracts way too easy. I much prefer the scum method where enemies don't physically render unless you have line of sight. That is how you balance TPP. But I get it, accessibility is why it has 400,000 players. It's fun, and the proximity chat creates some hilarious moments whether you're trying to betray someone or team up against the machines. The gunplay is satisfying even with the simplistic hipfire bloom. It's the first extraction game that doesn't feel like a second job. If you want something greedier, we saw Arena Breakout Infinite make a name for itself. This is basically Tarkov's bastard child. It has the grit, the minimalist UI and the loot anxiety. But it also has a real sense of progression. Because of the loot-based matchmaking, you actually have an endgame to strive for. If you want the hardcore feel, without the Tarkov baggage, Breakout is the play. And it's also free to play, so you can always try it, and if you don't like it, delete it. If even that is too hardcore, but you hate the camera in arcraiders, the extraction mode in Delta Force is the perfect middle ground. It's first person, it's arcadey, and the gunplay is tighter than Arc. It's the fast food version of extraction, and honestly it works. And it's free to play, so you have nothing to lose by giving it a shot. And we can't have an extraction segment without mentioning the old king, Escape from Tarkov. It finally came to Steam this year, but in classic Tarkov fashion, they made you buy it again even if you already owned it. It isn't doing as well as it used to, and I'm personally not a fan, but I have to respect the depth. If you want the most realistic, slow, punishing experience, and the best weapon simulator ever made, Tarkov is the only game that offers that level of detail. But for the rest of us, we finally have options. The Hero Wars. In the hero shooter world, Marvel Rivals showed up with a massive IP and a clear mission: be Overwatch for noobs. If you're a huge Marvel fan and you wanted a more casual, forgiving experience, this game found the perfect sauce. There are a few exceptions, but for the most part, characters are powerful and easy to use. The long time to kill and the push game mode means third-person perspective isn't as broken as it is in tactical or extraction shooters. But in the little time I played it, the cracks started to show. It was really poorly balanced and the meta was stale. It avoided roll lock, which sounds nice on paper, but in reality, it meant fighting endless meat shields because of the triple support meta. The game just doesn't check the right boxes for me personally, which is why I'm not playing it. It had 650,000 at its peak, and it has now settled down at 100,000. It's also free to play, so if what you heard sounds like something you'd enjoy, then just give it a try. There's plenty of people still hooked on the game. Prompted by the competition, Overwatch 2 actually woke up. It introduced perks to the game and some of the best heroes they've released in years. They also added TPP mode, but I just pretend it doesn't exist. I know 5v5 is controversial, but I love it. It forces you to use cover, you can't just hide behind shields all game. With less shoot spam, aim and positioning start mattering again. It finally feels like an FPS, which is exactly how the game played when it won Game of the Year in 2016. It is currently in my rotation because the mechanical expression is just unmatched. I don't want a game to hold my hand and give me shots that I didn't hit. That's why I hate it when they increase the projectile sizes, but thankfully they dialed that back. You don't need to be top 500 to appreciate that the game throws mechanically challenging heroes at you and respects your skill. But the future is Deadlock. Valve's mobile shooter might look boring on Twitch, but once you play it, it consumes you. It balances aiming and strategy perfectly. It leans more into the mobile side, which is smart because if it was pure aim, it would alienate too many people. The game is still in early development and with a small roster of heroes, yet the skill ceiling is already higher than most finished games. The movement is fluid, the parry mechanic is super satisfying. It combines so many different genres seamlessly. It is a bit rough for new players right now because the player base is small, which means matchmaking can't protect you, but it is worth the learning curve. Trust me, this game is gonna be massive. The BRs. The BR pillars are shaking a little bit. Apex dropped to 150,000 players this year. I still play like once a year, but the community says the cheaters and aim-assisted rollers have made it unplayable, especially in the higher ranks. If you want a BR with abilities or one with great movement, then this is your best choice. The maps are great, the flow of the match is perfect, movement is exceptional, and gunplay is something I'll probably enjoy more now that they've made the time to kill shorter. The biggest reason I haven't kept up with the game is crossplay. Had it been PC only, then I would have enjoyed it a lot more. Warzone is pretty much the same story. It also dropped in popularity, and it still is infested with cheaters and controller players. I don't particularly enjoy the gunplay in Warzone. It makes the game way too passive when everyone can laser you at any moment. I think the game is way more fun in multiplayer, but it's free, and if you want a casual arcade BR and aren't a fan of abilities, then give Warzone a chance. Fortnite is now basically Roblox 2.0. It has so many different game modes right now that if you aren't put off by the graphics, then there's definitely something for you out there. Strictly speaking about the BR, it's the same as it has always been. If you enjoy the building aspect, then you're gonna love it. There is no other game like it. If you play Zero Build, I have to ask why. The gunplay is terrible, the map is designed with building in mind, which means there is very little cover. Warzone, in comparison, feels like a milsim. I will never understand the people who pick Fortnite as their BR when they don't enjoy building. When that's the only reason that makes the game good. Make it make sense. Which leaves the king. Play it before the devs completely ruin the game. I genuinely hate them. They make the game worse again and again for no apparent reason. They continue to add gimmicks like one-shot RPGs, mortars, thermoscopes, bears. They make your gun flinch to the skies after getting hit. They limited how fast you can fire with DMRs. They're trying anything they can think of to kill it. But they can't. It is still the best BR experience. It's tough for new players because there's no SBMM and because the learning curve is a cliff, but that's also what makes it insane. Mastering the recoil and all of the micro and macro strategy is the most rewarding feeling in gaming. It's so satisfying lasering someone from far away or knocking someone out of a vehicle with a well-placed spray. It also has one of the most satisfying sniping in current games. Play it before the devs decide to finally kill it. You're gonna be mad at yourself that you missed out on greatness. Honorable mentions. Counter-Strike 2 is still the esports king. The game is timeless. The only issues are the cheaters in high ranks and the barrier to entry. CS isn't like other shooters. The counter-strafing, the recoil patterns, even the grenade lineups are difficult. It isn't intuitive, it takes practice and repetition. Valorant is the baby child of CS. If you find CS too daunting and want a more welcoming experience with flashy graphics and abilities, this is it. Crucially, it has a significantly better anti-cheat and a rank system that actually works. So if all you care about is the grind and the ladder, this is your best option. Out of all games I mentioned in the video, this is by far the best game to grind. You might even find yourself an eager or two along the way. Rainbow Six Siege is the least popular of the three, but also the most complex. If you're a masochist who wants to memorize 500 map angles and play FPS chess, this is for you. The depth is insane, which is why I personally stay away. It demands too much brain power for a casual session, and it has the steepest knowledge gap in any game I've played. Hunt Showdown is probably the most unique game on this video. It's in a genre of its own. It's technically an extraction shooter, but it feels more like a BR with a soul. The focus is on PvP, but the star of the show is the audio. It has the best sound design in gaming, period. The whole map is a trap, broken glass, hanging chains, dying horses. If you run, you die. It's the one game I regret sleeping on, and that changes this year. The finals is in a weird spot. It has amazing movement and the second best gunplay in gaming, right behind PUBG. So why does it only have 20,000 players? Balance. I really dislike classes having different HP pools and how unfun and unfair some abilities and weapons are. Not having a sidearm or not being able to change a gun mid-round is also another massive misstep. My opinion might change when I dive more deeply into ranked, but we'll see. The casual modes like TDM, they're incredible because they let me focus on what I enjoy most about the game: the gunplay and the movement. The game is criminally underrated. And finally, Rust. It hit an all-time peak with 260 players this year, and the big naval update is just around the corner, so it would likely shatter the record. It is the ultimate sandbox. It is toxic, punishing, and unfair. But that's the beauty of it. I find the survival elements too slow, but if you have the time to sink into it, Rust isn't a game. It's a lifestyle. The PvP and raiding after you get more experience and have the resources looks really fun. 2026 is shaping up to be a bloody battle between the casual content games and the high skill shooters. Here's how my rotation is shaping up for the year. I'm sticking to the games that respect my skill and time commitment: Deadlock, PUBG, Overwatch, Battlefield 5, and Black Ops 7 if I have a Game Pass. There is also a very special place reserved for arcraiders. Despite it being way more casual, it's still a great experience. I'm also planning to finally give the finals and Hunt a deeper try and revisit giants like Fortnite, Apex and CS to see if an OG can actually survive there after such a long break. Let me know in the comments what you're maining this year, and if you want deeper dives into the state of FPS, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.